Now, Laura, you've got them on here real quick. Hey, good morning. This is Coffee. Whoops, there. Oh, there I am. This is Chris with Coffee with Chris. So it is Monday morning, 10 o'clock, and giving you information to be smarter. So you're already smart. So this is just some more tidbits for you. So today we have a couple of people from Stewart Title. And we're going to add them on right now. And they're going to talk to us about the questions that they are asked in their world as far as deals and everything else. So we have Karen and Yanneth. So Yanneth, did I say your name right?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Okay, I'm very big on that. So people call me Flores, Torres, all this other kind of stuff. So I always try to make sure that your name is right. So welcome to our vodcast. I'm still, the technical person or whatever of what it's actually called. So what we're doing is ask the experts. And so we are asking you questions, or you've given us questions, 3 questions that people ask you all the time to explain. And one of your questions is something that I go through and explain all the time. And you're going to, and Yanneth, you're going to explain it to us in Spanish as well for those Spanish clients, because we all know that there is we can say the words right, but if it's coming from me as a cracker, and I use that word as, if you know me, then I use it jokingly around or whatever. If it's coming from me that I am English and I don't speak Spanish, then the translation does not always come across correctly. And we know how important that part is. So anyways, we'll get into that in a few minutes. So we are going to, I'm going to ask you the questions, and you're the expert. You're the one talking about it. And I'll throw in, different things, whatever, as far as what I come across with my clients and with just people in general. And so that's what we're doing today. So I hope that there's an audience out there watching us, but this is also going to be posted on all of my social media. Karen and Yanneth can share it on there so that they've got it. They're educating their people as well, whether it is a buyer, seller, agent, somebody just in general, because some of these things, even if you own a home now, some of these things matter, even if you already own your home. Very, very, very big deal. So all of this will be shared on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Instagram, all of the above. And also on my, let me see, what is it? I have TikTok now, so it'll be on TikTok. I messed it up before and it was Tick, but it's actually TikTok. So that's, again, my technology part of things. So we're going to get started. And so my list here, my few questions that you have given us is, what is title insurance and why do I need it? So that's very big. It is not homeowners insurance to protect your home. It is not mortgage insurance because you put less than 20% down. It is not car insurance. So Karen and Yanneth, tell us what it is.
Well, first, Chris, thanks so much for having us. This is, we don't always get the opportunity to speak with people one-on-one like this for things that are so important. We kind of have our own secret language, I think, between title insurance and mortgage and real estate. So this sort of gets rid of some of that mystery around it. First, I do have to provide a disclaimer to basically state that the views and opinions expressed by the participants in the show are not necessarily those of Stewart Information Services Corporation, Stewart Title, or Stewart Insurance. Before anybody makes any investment, you should always seek the advice of your investment advisor or your attorney. So now that fun stuff is out of the way, title insurance.
Yes, because none of us are attorneys. So we
have them. We have them all over the place. We have them on retainer. We have them as employed. We have them, but I just don't happen to be one.
Yeah.
So there are a few things in life more important than protecting your investment in the home. For most of us, that is the largest investment we will ever make as individuals. And title insurance is a one-time premium that protects you like literally for about 30 different things. Just to name a few: lawsuits claiming an interest or challenging your title, undisclosed heirs of folks who have been deceased previously in title. Bear in mind, title insurance starts when you own it and goes backwards. So it doesn't protect you for future things that you do to yourself, but it does protect you about things that happened before you owned the property. Things like defective legal descriptions, somebody signing documentation underneath fraud or duress, which then could potentially result in a lawsuit, which would protect you. The biggest things right now that we are seeing is false impersonation of the true owner of the property and forged deeds. So people, there's a lot of fraud going on right now, and people are, pretending to be owners of properties that they know the owners don't live in, whether it is vacant land or whether it is simply just a home that, they can tell by going on the property tax records, and seeing, that they don't necessarily live in the home 365 days a year. It's happening. It's prevalent. It is, it's personal. It's scary. It's all of those things. And title insurance and Stewart Title, in addition to that, some of the other protections that we have in place, we will protect people's money and their investments in that property. If you don't have title insurance, if you just kind of do it between yourselves, you're going to lose. You're going to lose your money. You're going to lose everything. And it's a very big deal right now. But title insurance, like I said, it covers other people having possession of the home. It covers you're not being able to fully enjoy the home in the manner that you intended when you purchased it. So if you bought the property intending to put in, I don't know, a pool, and then you find out that you can't do that, because of the setbacks or because somebody else actually has an interest in that property or any number of potential things, it could potentially be a claim on your title insurance. Mm-hmm. So title insurance will always protect. It's a one-time premium. You never pay it again. You can, if you want to, if you buy a vacant lot and put a house on it, you can increase your coverage, which would be a very good idea in that scenario. Mm-hmm. But normally title insurance has 150% built-in appreciation in it. So it protects you. So your mortgage balance will go down. Your equity will go up. So the bigger the gap is what we are always covering for people. So we want to make sure that everybody understands that. I do this. I've been doing this for 30 years, and I would never, even knowing what I know and how to clear title, I would never buy a home without it, ever.
Well, and that's the thing is, like you hear, which I can honestly say that I'm not old enough, I don't think, but people doing, writing contracts on a paper, on a napkin or whatever, different things like that. I had somebody years and years ago that they said that they owned the property that they had, and actually they had a contract, but the deed and the title, everything was not transferred over to my client's name. So all of these years, I think they were in the property for like 17 years, and they thought that it was theirs after all this time. And I was like, I'm sorry, but you don't own it. So something wasn't done right. So you need to contact an attorney or whatever. And if it's just a matter of the paperwork wasn't done, well, then you need to do it now. Mm-hmm. The best way that I describe in my dumb layman's terms, and I say that not that I'm dumb, but I just say that just as, I'm not an attorney or a real estate agent or a title company and all that kind of good stuff, is that the title insurance, whenever I'm at a closing, the title insurance is to make sure that, for lack of better words, that you're walking into the house without everybody else's crap before you. And
trust me, Chris, I mean, we get commitments every single day where we're cleaning up stuff that happened 20 years ago, 10 years ago, 6 years ago. It happens, and it happens all the time. Right. We're very good at it. But there are times where it's like, you are going to have to either institute a quiet title, you're going to have to retain an attorney, you're going to have to do something because it's so big and so egregious that we cannot fix it,
Right.
and that does occur. I mean, truthfully, total title failure is very rare, right? It doesn't happen frequently. Fraud, of course, makes it happen.
Right.
But normally it's not. But all of these other things that come into play can actually devalue your property without title insurance. True story. My sister got a house. They bought it from her in-laws. Oh, I'm not getting a title insurance policy. I don't need it. It's been in the family for 30 years, blah, blah, blah. Came to find out that 35 years ago, when the builder put up the houses, he put them all up askew on every single lot. So every single home down that street was encroaching on their neighbors.
Oh gosh.
Every single one. So they had to go through, get partial releases, get new surveys, get deeds done, do all of these things that cost her thousands of dollars.
Right.
It would have just been a one-time premium, and title insurance would have protected her and defended her on that.
Right. And whenever you're saying that, like encroachments, so that's whenever we get a survey for closing. And so a lot of people's misconception is that, well, the title company said I don't need a survey. Okay, the title company says I don't need a survey, but the lender says I don't need a survey too. So the caveat is, as a lender, I cannot have an exception to the title policy. Right. As the title company, if you do not have a survey to look at and to ensure, then you're going to have an exception. So the answer, general answer, first question or first thing or whatever is always, well, no, we don't require it, but yes, we do. Because I can't accept an exception and you have to put the exception. So yes, you have one.
If you're talking about the Florida Form 9 endorsement that 99.9% of lenders require, and we cannot issue it in Florida without a survey.
Right. Yeah. So I'm just throwing that out there because we've all had that throughout the years. So the bottom line is you can't have this and you can't have this. So you have to have a survey. And so that's just not an option. So whenever that survey is done, I send it to you guys review it, and you're looking for those encroachments, because if there is an encroachment, and correct me if I'm wrong, that is permanent, like a part of the house or part of the pool that is concrete in the ground, so on and so forth, then that is considered an encroachment. But a shed that you can pick up and move is not. Am I correct?
Mostly, yes.
Okay.
I mean, to your point, a shed that you can pick up and move the shed. It doesn't matter. You can leave it where it is. Nobody cares. You can move it should something need to be moved. 90% of the properties in Florida have an encroachment on their driveway. It is what it is. We're not going to necessarily accept that on a loan policy. We might on an owner's policy because we know it's there. It's there. But, that's just the way that it is. There's setbacks around. There's easements around. So the power company, the gas company, the cable company, water, sewer, whomever it is, can get in and do what they need to do.
Right.
So there will be. Now, a couple inches of the corner of a house, we're not going to look at the same way we are if a house is planted right on top of an entire easement,
Right.
Then we're going to be like, okay, how do we fix this? Do we get a variance? Do we, maybe it's a blanket easement that they put over the entire lot and they should have put it on the, east 5 feet or something like that. So then we get in touch with, that party and go, is this what you meant to do? Kind of a thing. So there are ways we can fix it, but generally, we're going to make sure that the lender does not have any exceptions for matters of survey. Owners may, as long as they know that it's there, because it's, we're not necessarily going to protect you about having to put up your driveway, because everybody's got to pull up your driveway at that point if they can't go in underneath it. So
okay. Good information. And like I said, there's, people ask it all the time, and even people in our industry are not sure. So that kind of helps to clarify all the way across the board. Okay. So your next question is, what does vesting mean? And this is a big deal. This is a big deal if you own your home now. It's a big deal if you are buying a home now. So tell us what that means. And again, we all know that we're not attorneys. This is our translation.
Yes.
You're going to get with a real estate attorney or your attorney, whatever kind of an attorney that you want, to explain to you exactly. But tell us what vesting means.
So vesting is basically how you take title. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And there are a handful of ways that you can do that in the state of Florida. The most common way is if there's a married couple, they take title as a married couple. That sets up what's called tenants by the entirety. And it's one of the most protective forms of one of the most protective ways to hold title as a married person. It protects against judgments, for example, when they're only filed against one of the person, with the exception of the IRS in the USA. Yeah. So if I'm married and I'm entitled with my spouse and I have a judgment on me, they cannot go after that property, won't attach to that property because it's homesteaded as tenants by the entirety. Okay. Now, if it's both of us, that's a different story, right?
Right.
But that's one, no. And if something happens to one of the persons, if they pass away, all we do is simply record a death certificate, affidavit of continuous marriage, and we're done. No probates needed with the death of one of those persons. We can use powers of attorney if need be. And the caveat to this is you have to be married when you take title, and your marital status can't change.
Okay, so what I've always, because I used to be a little bit backwards or mixed up whatever in as far as the vesting. So if I have a married couple and only one of them is on a loan, they can both hold title, they can both be on the deed, and they need to be as a married couple, so to speak, so that if one passes, the other one does not fight family for their own property. Is that basically
correct?
Okay, which that's a big deal because the other thing with that, and I know that the governor had passed something a year or two ago, that like if I bought my house and I was single, but now I am married, I can now add my husband onto my deed without the doc stamps, without the cost and everything else, which has been awesome because you shouldn't have to be paying for your doc stamps whenever all of that happens. But also if those that have closed, because I've been at a closing table and clients say, well, they were supposed to be on the deed. I'm like, your agent, it wasn't on the contract. Title needs it on the contract. We need to see it on the contract. Your agent didn't put it on there. Here we're sitting at closing and we're done. And so in instances like that, that's where that new law that's in place, that new statute that's in place has really helped on those instances. But if you're not married, then that does not help. So that's just what as far as married,
married. And to throw another caveat into that, we as a title company are allowed to draft legal documents, so the deed, when we are issuing title insurance. So as a part of a closing, we can draft deeds. Mm-hmm. If 6 months after the fact you get married and you want to add a spouse, I can't help you because that would be what's called
only deal with just that transaction.
Correct.
Okay.
That would be what's called UPL or unauthorized practice of law. So that would have to go to an attorney. Now we do have an attorney on retainer. He can help. It's very reasonably priced, all of those things. But if you're looking to do a deed after closing, your title company is not going to be able to assist you.
Right, which I've actually referred clients for that reason to attorneys that I've dealt with, for that exact reason. Because and the other thing with that is that you want to make sure that somebody is doing it that is a professional, because if your legal description is not right, then
you could create a flaw in title.
Yeah, if you did a typo because you're not used to it or whatever, then you could cause issues. So it's really better to, if that happens, to contact an attorney and so on and so forth. So okay, so tell us what other kind of vesting. So let's say, for instance, if it is if it's two people that are not married, boyfriend, girlfriend that are not married.
So they have a couple different choices. They can choose joint tenants with rights of survivorship. And that's very, very similar to a husband and wife or married couple rather scenario. It's basically you own the property equally. You can be 2 people, it can be 10 people. You can do it all as joint tenants. Again, one party passes away, you simply record the death certificate, potentially an affidavit as well. And again, you can use a power of attorney. The only thing that does not do is protect with that tenants of the entirety for those judgments being filed against both instead of one. That's the only difference there.
Okay.
And then they can also choose to do tenants in common. Now, tenants in common, you can choose an ownership percentage, right? So let's say you and I buy a house, you put up 70% of the down payment, I only put up 30. So you're going to own a 70% undivided interest, and I'm going to own a 30% undivided interest, if that's how we choose. The difference with this, though, it's going to require probate after the death of any of those title holders.
Okay.
Period. Okay. There are reasons for doing tenants in common. There are reasons for doing joint tenants. There are reasons for people taking title in a trust. You can set up and take title in a trust. You can take title as an LLC. You can take title with a ladybird deed, which is basically a life estate. There are reasons for all of those. And some of those requirements get a little particular. The 3 most common ones are, a married couple, joint tenants, and tenants in common. Those are the ones we see probably 95% of the time.
Right.
The other 3, like I said, there are reasons. I would tell people these are your options, but maybe somebody's in a second marriage and they want to leave their portion of the home to their children and not to that other person. Maybe, it's estate planning purposes or whatever it is. Talk to your investment person, talk to your, whomever your attorney is or however you want to do that before you decide necessarily how you want to take title. Normal folks buying their own residential home, most of them are going to take title in those first 3 ways.
Right.
Now, and there are homestead requirements and things that have to be considered. And Yanneth is going to talk to that because we do tend to have a little bit of confusion about, sometimes being married in one country and what that means here.
Right.
Versus not being married because you've been together and you're like in a common law situation and what that means here. So she's going to talk a little bit about those homestead requirements because they're very, very specific.
Right.
If you're homesteading a property, which is your principal residence, and you're taking out a mortgage or you're deeding out.
Right. Well, that's your segue, Yanneth. So go ahead and talk about that. So what is homestead and what's the requirements?
Okay. Do you want it in Spanish or in English?
Do it in English, and then okay. So let's do this. What if we do this in English, and then let's go ahead and do it in English, and then we'll just do over a few minutes or whatever. So we usually end at 10:30. We'll just do over a few minutes so you can do it in Spanish too, and then that way it's all on the same program.
Okay. Karen, do you want to do it in English? And then
Sure, if you want me to. So what is homestead? Homestead is basically you live in this residence as your principal residence. It's your primary home. It is where you live. You cannot have a homestead in 2 different places. You cannot have a homestead in 2 different states. You live in it. It is your homestead. Therefore, it is your primary residence. If somebody is going to take out a mortgage and they are going to be homesteading the property, their spouse has to sign the mortgage. And the lender may have some additional documents for them to sign because basically what they're doing is they are waiving their spousal interest in the property so that should the lender ever need to foreclose, that waiver is there by virtue of their signature on the mortgage. They don't have to sign the note. They don't have to take responsibility to pay it back.
Right.
They don't have to do any of those things. They can go into title. Most of them do. They don't have to, but they can. So like if you have a situation where this person and this person are separated, they're legally separated, guess what? You're still married according to Florida.
Right.
So your spouse has to join. If you think you're married, because I've been living with this person for 10 years, right? I mean, you know.
No, I have to ask people literally, are you legally married, signed by a judge? Are you legally divorced, signed by a judge?
Yes.
So no, I laugh because I have to. And especially in Spanish, you know, not communities, but in the Spanish, not tradition, whatever word I'm trying to,
the culture.
Yeah, in their culture. And my family is, you know, my husband's family is Spanish. So, but it's just the way that things are, is that, you know, you're together for so long, and so you consider yourself married. So yes, I have to, and then all of a sudden at the end we're like, oh crap. And so we totally have to ask that, is, are you legally married by, you know, signed off by a judge? Are you legally divorced, signed off by a judge for exactly that?
Yes.
Yes, we had the situation where we had a customer. He's Mexican. When he purchased the property, they were husband and wife. Then when we received the deed and we did the investigation, they were never married.
Right.
The death certificate said that she was never married.
Mm-hmm.
So then he couldn't sell the property, even that it says husband and wife on the title, but they were not legally married. So we're still pending that case. And that happens, those situations happens a lot with the Spanish.
Yes. And Spanish culture, meaning any Spanish culture, whether it's, you know, whether Cuban, Puerto Rican, Latin, Mexican, whatever, it's, and there's, you know, there's, and I'm so not politically correct, but again, if you know me, then you know who cares? I don't care what you are. I'm a Heinz 57. So we're all Americans, but the English American culture, that's not the non-Spanish, non-Latino culture, most of the time do not think that way, but there are some that do also. So there, you know, nobody is being discounted, but it just is more prevalent in the Spanish culture. That's just how it is. And then you also have that they use their, you know, their what is it, surname and then last name. So they have two names, but the husband and wife are both two different names, but they are legally husband and wife. So that's where, you know, we have to dig into it more, myself and you included, for exactly those reasons.
Yes.
Well, we have the similar situation with when they sell, right? So if it's their homestead, but again, they, you know, these are some of the comments we've had saying to us. Oh, I'm only married in my country.
Yeah.
Right. No. I've had one of those recently.
Yeah. You know, if you're married, you're married. Doesn't matter where.
Right.
You know, things like that. So if you're married and it is your homestead, your primary residence, your spouse has to sign the deed. You can't sell it out from underneath your spouse. That's the reason that particular protection is there.
Right.
So it is a good protection, but it does tend to be a little challenging at times. So, you know, if I'm legally divorced, to your point, Chris, then I want to see a copy of that.
Right. Yeah. And I do too.
I need your marital settlement agreement.
Yes.
To make sure that this other person doesn't actually still have interest to the tune of $60,000 or whatever the case may be. Right.
Right.
And it's happened. You know, it's absolutely happened, and it's been missed, and title insurance kicked in and took care of what was needed to have been taken care of, you know. But, you know, for us, it's just, again, we have to know the guidelines that we have to follow are very, very strict. Guidelines that you have to follow, Chris, are very, very strict. And, you know, Yanneth, I think now would be a good time to explain, you know, again, if you're married, this is what has to happen, whether you're buying or selling.
Right. Yep.
Yes, we had the situation with the buyer. This case was the buyer. He never informed the wife that he was going to buy, but they were going through a divorce. It was the signing day, and we couldn't close.
Yeah.
We had 2 or 3 cancel in a month for that very reason.
Oh gosh.
Yeah. Signing days.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
okay. So explain to us
nobody was informed, and she refused to sign. She said,
right. They had a bad separation, and they weren't quite done yet.
Yeah.
So tell us, so tell us for all of our, because I have a bunch of Spanish people too, and that's, you know, we are Florida, we are a mixed culture, and so it totally applies to everybody. So take it away in Spanish.
Okay.
I do not understand hardly anything, but
Bien.
that's okay.
Okay. So, Homestead es una excepción de vivienda. Es un descuento sobre los taxes. Son diferentes descuentos que pueden ser ofrecidos. En el caso del vendedor, el vendedor si está casado, la esposa tiene que firmar el título para poder recibir ese descuento. No hay excepción, tiene que firmar el título si está vendiendo. Si es el comprador y este comprador está casado y está comprando una propiedad en efectivo y va a ser su residencia primaria, pueden comprar como individuo y no necesita el cónyuge firmar o aparecer en el título de la propiedad porque las sesiones van a... Pero si no lo hace, si no lo quiere incluir cuando es una transacción en efectivo, van a recibir menos descuentos. El cónyuge hay excepciones cuando hay un préstamo. El cónyuge puede ser incluido en el título como el principal del préstamo, pero el cónyuge no tiene que firmar que ser incluido en el título con el principal del préstamo. Pero los prestamistas tienen que especificar esto dentro del mortgage. Cuando hay un préstamo, si es a la casa primaria, el cónyuge siempre tiene que firmar el mortgage, no el note. Y si ninguna de las partes están casadas, cualquier persona que esté en el préstamo tiene que estar en el título de la propiedad. That's it. That was the explanation in Spanish.
And that's it. That's all we got. Okay. Well, no, I appreciate you doing that because again, we both know, we have a lot of Spanish clients. And again, it doesn't matter if you're buying or selling today. It's important if you own a home. If you are going through a divorce, it's important to know this is what happens, so it means things on all sides, in all cultures, all whatever, everything. It doesn't matter if you're married if you're married and you're buying a primary residence in the state of Florida. We're not talking about other states, but in the state of Florida, if you are legally married, that person has to sign.
Anywhere.
Yeah, it doesn't matter where you're married from. I have one that somebody said that they were married in the Virgin Islands, but that's part of the U.S. anyways, but it doesn't matter. So if you are legally married somewhere, the state of Florida, if it's your primary residence, that person, that spouse has to sign. They're not legally responsible for the note, the payment. They're signing to say, I know there's a lien against, I know that there's a lien out there as a primary residence for my spouse. That's, that's what it is. So that's the way that I explain it, just to be, basic. But again, always, refer to the title company and to an attorney for more definition, because that's my, whatever, as I call it, my dumb definition. So we appreciate you being on here. I do. And lots of good information, lots of things that people ask all the time, even people in the industry of homes and real estate. So it's good information, whether you own, whether you're going to sell, whether you're going to buy, whatever the case is. And so I just appreciate you guys being here. And then Yanneth, and to definitely translate, that's big. So again, all of this will be on our social media. So please feel free to share it with all of your people and all of your social media. And it's just a matter of educating and giving information. So that's what we like to do.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for the opportunity to be here with you, Chris. We appreciate it.
Absolutely. So this is Karen and Yanneth, and again, they're with Stewart Title. Work with Stewart Title for years. Now you're nationwide, correct?
We're actually international.
Oh, international. Okay.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. I found out from some agents that I work with on about 2 weeks ago that Remax is actually international also. So there you go.
Yeah.
So if you need them, their contact information will be here. And if I can help you in any way, give you my layman's terms on stuff, because I say it how I understand it. So, but they're the experts. And so hope you all have a great day. It is Monday. We are not going to have the stereotypical Monday verbiage out as in, oh crap, it's Monday. We're going to have a great day Monday. So I hope you have an awesome day. Thanks for watching. This will be on YouTube, all of that or whatever as well. So you can go back and replay and hear us like 100,000 times. It's all good. So talk to you later.
Chris.
Okay.
Girl.
All right.
Bye.
Okay. Bye.